Everybody, welcome. My name is Charlie. I'm the rector of St. Paul's. It's good to have you here in the room with us today, or if you're joining us as a part of our online community, we're glad you're here. A lot of us may be thinking about first things these days. First things, especially as we bring a new president into leadership. What will the first things be? First things may be on our minds because first things are important. I often think about things that I hear, things that I say when I travel or when I take a new role. You know, the first thing I'm going to do is ... The first thing I'm going to do when I get there is ... Those first things kind of set the stage. They determine what is important, what might be a priority for you, and a little bit of a reflection of who you are. First things. In the Gospels, there's always a first thing that happens. And that is something that you and I should pay attention to when we are exploring who these gospel writers are painting Jesus to be. Jesus does a first thing. In Mark, the first thing Jesus does is perform an exorcism, proclaiming that he has power even over the dark supernatural world. In Matthew, the first thing that Jesus does is preach the Sermon on the Mount, spelling out a larger vision for what life with Jesus is going to be like. And in Luke, Jesus returns home. So what happens in John? What is John's first thing? A wedding, right? He shows up at a wedding. And that's really important. So I'm going to hang out with you a little bit in this reading in the Gospel of John, because what I'm curious about is, what is this first thing telling us about who Jesus is and what Jesus is going to do here among us, incarnated in the flesh. All right, so weddings, as you know, are times, or marriages are times when people come together. They are times when families are reunited with each other, when people come together, when families are joined. And it's not unintentional that Jesus' first sign happens at a wedding, because you have heard the preachers and I talk about how in John's gospel, we use that word abide. In John's gospel, the important thing is that Jesus is abiding with us and we in Jesus. So what does that abiding look like? It looks like a marriage. It looks like a coming together. It looks like intimacy. So there's a coming together of humanity, and Jesus is right in the midst of it. And who is there? It is none other than the mother of Jesus. And she comes across a little bit harsh today. I don't know if you caught that. But another thing that's happening is that John is framing Jesus' public ministry with the presence of his mother. The mother of Jesus only shows up twice in the Gospel of John. Here, when a new family is being formed, and at the foot of the cross, when Jesus calls down and says, "Woman, here is your son. Here is your mother." So something really beautiful and intimate is happening in this particular encounter that points already to the formation of a new kind of family that Jesus pulls together from the cross. Intimacy, family, connection, abiding, new life, new creation. Now, what about the wine? We all know that it is no fun to run out of something, right? I can only tell you what that feels like by telling you a story about what happens when things run out in my life. I'm a person that really must have half and half in my coffee. I've got to. I have to have half and half in my coffee. And there's nothing that makes me more irate than when I don't have it and I've run out. And you don't know you've run out until you've run out of half and half. So this is what it looks like for me in my household. I go to the refrigerator, I shake it, and there's nothing in there. I'm the only one that takes half and half in my coffee in my household, by the way. And I'm like, Matthew's my spouse. Matthew, do we have any more half and half? I know we don't. No, Charlie, we don't have any more half and half. Matthew, did you get any at the store the last time you went? I know he didn't. And he says, no, Charlie, did you get any from the store the last time you went? So you see what's happening here. When we run out of something, I get really entitled. I get angry, and I throw just a little bit of a hissy fit. I have a temper tantrum. And maybe there's something in your life that happens when you run out of something. We run out of patience. We run out of confidence. We run out of hope. We get scared. I can't help but think about all of those people who are going to gather tomorrow right outside of our church who feel like they're going to run out of something and what that might do to them and how they're going to react. What does it mean to run out? Well, the other purpose of Jesus being present at this wedding is simply this. Jesus doesn't want us to run out. I've been around enough Episcopalians to see what happens when they run out of wine. It's not pretty. Jesus is there simply because he's saying to us, I don't want you to run out. There's 120 gallons of wine that is made today in this particular story. And that is a sign of God's abundance. Jesus is saying that in the kingdom, in the incarnated life of this new existence that Jesus has, you're not going to run out of love. You're not going to run out of grace. You're not going to run out of justice. And you don't have to be scared that those things are going to be taken away from you. I think that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. knew about this new wine. He was born on January 15th, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. And he was raised as a middle child. His father was an incredible model for him as they moved through the South, in the segregated South, in the racist South. And then in about December of 1955, a white man got on a bus and he thought that they had run out of seats. So Rosa Parks did not want to give hers up. And there began one of the beginnings of the civil rights movement in which Dr. King really began to take the stage and talk about this new wine. This Jesus who was not going to let the wine of hope run out, the wine of justice run out, the wine of equality. Granted, Dr. King knew that the people to whom he was talking, they knew what it was like to run out and to be run out. And so Dr. King's message was about this new wine, where it's okay for all of us to have plenty, more than enough, without having to give something up. So I'm thinking about that today. I'm thinking about his life. I'm thinking about the way our world is taking shape. I'm thinking about what our church is called to be and do in this particular location, in this time, and in this place. And I think it has to do with this new wine. How are we sharing new wine with the community and with the world? Where are those places where we're so scared of running out that we're clinging to, hanging on to, and possibly even doing damage to others? And how can the message that flows forth from this place be one of abundance, where the wine doesn't give out, and God's grace and mercy always, always is there and present? There's a guy named Paul Farmer who has done a whole lot of work in Haiti. And he puts it pretty simply. He says that we have what we need. It's just about how we distribute it. We have what we need. It's more about how do we distribute it. So today we celebrate that in the kingdom, the wine doesn't run out. And I'd ask you to explore, how is it that you are being called to offer it to those around you in your own lives? How are you giving new wine, the new wine of Jesus, away freely and indiscriminately? Oh Lord, help us not to run out of anything but apathy. Help us not to run out of anything but apathy. And may justice roll, and may righteousness flow, and may the new wine of Jesus flow forth from this altar, from this font, from you, from me, from this church, out into the world, until everyone's cup overfloweth. Amen.